Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Andrew Yang Daily Show. Today is Sunday, September 8th, and Andrew Yang spoke at the AAPI Victory Fund Forum in Costa Mesa, California. The forum was over 50 minutes in length and provided a new in-depth look at Andrew Yang and his policies. You can find the whole event on our channel. Here was Yang's funniest line from the event.
You're President Yang. Hurricane Dorian comes up the East Coast. How do you handle that national emergency?
Well, I keep my Sharpies in my desk, for one thing.
This was in reference to what is known as Sharpiegate, in which Donald Trump apparently extended the path of a National Weather Service map showing Hurricane Dorian using a Sharpie.
Right now, FEMA is part of the Department of Homeland Security, which to me is not the right way to go because literally they diverted funds from FEMA. So number one is you separate FEMA. So you change that, and then the big thing that we have to do is try and make our communities more resilient before the Hurricane Dorian's strike. This country has become far too reactive, where essentially we have to wait until something breaks or goes dramatically wrong, and then everyone yells about it, and then you go in, and it's much more expensive. Mm-hmm. There have been some situations where we've literally repaired the same home dozens of times. Which I would suggest probably is not the most efficient way to go.
Afterwards, Andrew Yang had some fun with supporters. Is there any other candidate having this much fun on the campaign trail? The New York Times released an article today titled "The 1-2 Punch That Second-Tier Democrats Are Counting On." I guess this means that Andrew Yang is a first-tier candidate now, since the article failed to mention Andrew Yang at any point while mentioning Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, Amy Klobuchar, Cory Booker, Michael Bennet, and Steve Bullock. All candidates that are either tied with or behind Yang in the polling average. This comes after The Economist published an article last week about each candidate's book while leaving out Andrew Yang and the war on normal people. Luckily, you can still read about Andrew Yang today because The Guardian published a lengthy article on his campaign earlier. Check out the full article using the link in the description below. Here is our Yang Gang meme of the day. The past few shows, we have made a point to mention the ring of candidates beginning to sound like and copy Andrew Yang. Some have asked if this is a bad thing, and in the greater conversation, it's not. It's fantastic that Andrew Yang is beginning to drive a new movement over automation and technology, much like Bernie Sanders did with free healthcare back in 2016. The problem is that some candidates pretend that they thought of the idea without giving Andrew Yang one iota of credit. Now, why should they? Every candidate wants to win this race, so it's only natural that they wouldn't bring any attention to a fellow candidate's campaign. But we should and will call it out when we see it. We don't go after candidates who do give credit to Yang, like Marianne Williamson. Marianne was aware of UBI before knowing Yang, but hearing him speak and reading his book was influential in her supporting it, said a campaign spokesman for Marianne following her announcement she supports a universal basic income. We could also bring up Steve Bullock, but we aren't because he actually gave credit to Yang.
At the core, this election's about math. We have to get to 270 electoral votes. I figured the Yang Gang would like that.
Well, I guess we just brought up Steve Bullock. We mentioned Bernie Sanders earlier, and it happens to be the Vermont senator's birthday. Andrew Yang took the time to wish him a happy birthday on Twitter. This is how a class act candidate treats his opponents. Happy birthday, Bernie. Interestingly, Andrew Yang actually has more Twitter followers than Bernie did at this same exact point in the 2016 campaign. Scott Santens provided an interesting comparison of Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders' policies today. He used a tweet from Bernie Sanders voicing support for a $15 minimum wage that showed the various incomes of the fastest growing jobs in America. Santens replied with a modified version of Bernie's tweet, showing how these workers' salaries would rise under Andrew Yang's freedom dividend proposal. A new poll from ABC News rated an A+ pollster by 538 showed Yang tied for 6th place in the race for the Democratic nomination at 3%. Unfortunately, though, Yang did not perform as well in a series of battleground state polls from CBS News.
The rest of the field comes in with 1% of the vote or less.
Yang Gang, if you want to see Andrew Yang rise in the polls, make sure you donate using www.yang2020.com/donate. This will help his campaign hire more staffers in early battleground states, such as Iowa and New Hampshire. Today, the campaign announced a new Andrew Yang 3rd Democratic Debate commemorative pin. There are only 500 available, so snatch yours up now. You can also help out the campaign by volunteering to phone bank and call voters in early primary states and talk about Andrew Yang. A video from YouTuber Paget Kagi explains how this all works, which I will leave a link to down in the description. This is the best thing you can do right now to help Andrew. A supporter of Yang's campaign, named Wookie, released a new fan-made campaign song today. Here's a sample.
Yang, Yang, Andrew Yang, 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 Yang.
Go give the song some love on SoundCloud. Yesterday, Andrew Yang alluded to his new secret weapon in the campaign, his wife, Evelyn.
Well, I will say that the secret weapon of the campaign is about to be unveiled.
Yeah! Secret weapon!
And that secret weapon is my wife, Evelyn. And if you think I'm a badass, whoa, wait until you see Evelyn. America's going to be like, we need to elect Andrew Yang just so we can have her as the first lady.
Yes! Evelyn! 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 Evelyn!
Now here's my favorite Andrew Yang tweet of the day. Remember, folks, it's not left, it's not right.
It's forward, and that is how we're going to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
Remember, you can follow us on Twitter for updates at Zach and Matt Show. Thank you for watching episode 4 of the Andrew Yang Daily Show. We'll be back tomorrow. In case you missed it, make sure to check out yesterday's episode where Bill de Blasio was exposed for lying about his automation policies.
Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang. Yeah, yeah. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang 2020. Yang Gang.